Smells great.
Good evening.
Hi there.
What's happening?
What's happening? I don't know. Not much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Oh my gosh. Yay, I feel better. I was afraid I was going to be the only one here.
Hello.
Hi, Julie.
How are you, Bob?
Good, thank you. You?
I'm well, I think. Let me check. Yep, steady pulse.
Wait a minute. Aren't you supposed to swab your nose to check?
No, I check for a pulse first.
Oh,
If there's no pulse, it doesn't matter if I've got anything else.
yeah. Well, I got it over Christmas, so
No.
Here.
I did. Christmas. Yeah, it was. Let me see. My sister-in-law got it on Thursday. I tested positive on Christmas Eve, and then my mom, who I went and picked up on Friday to come spend the weekend with us, got it on Monday morning. So we all moved to my sister-in-law's house, and we called it Refugee Camp COVID.
Oh my gosh, Peter.
Yeah. So Christmas was, I came home with a mask on and sat on one end of the house while everybody was at the other end of the house and sliding gifts across the dining room table. And it was just a mess,
But
New Year. Happy
Oh.
New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, Judy.
Yep. So that was Christmas.
Oh,
Hopefully New Year's will be better.
has to be.
Exactly.
Bless you.
That was actually a cough.
Oh,
It's my asthma.
Judy, are you in Florida?
I am. It's
I
so
was
great.
just going to say, you look a little tan.
I know, and happy, and it's good. It's good, guys. Bless you. Or cough. I'm
We're
sorry.
in Florida.
We're in Nokomis this year, and so that's below Sarasota and above Fort Myers. It's on that key.
Okay.
And so we're here until the middle of March.
Nice.
Sweet.
I'm really, really grateful. And, I realize that I think that I invented coming to Florida for the winter, but no, there's a lot of people down
Yeah.
there. and they're all about my age. I'm just saying.
And there's a big contingent in Naples from Nahant.
Yep.
That's kind of, it's funny. There's different groups go to different areas, and I know, there's a lot of people in Naples that are Nahanters. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't
It's
afford
almost like
Naples.
There's an
A lot
enclave
of people
there.
in my sister's age bracket, in the upper 70s, are in Naples. My sister's in Venice.
Oh, so we're right below Venice, right below Venice.
Yeah.
And so it's a very pretty place. We're about a mile from the beach. It's really nice. We've only been here 3 days. I'm in love. Just saying.
Well, I'm happy here in the cold. I'm a cold bug. I love
I know it's not the cold. The cold. It's not the cold. It's the dark, Julie. I hate the dark.
But wait a minute, isn't it dark in Florida too?
Yeah, but it's an hour and a half more sunlight. An
Yeah.
hour and a half.
Oh,
Sunset is almost 6 o'clock.
closer
I
to-
Oh,
love that. Love that. Yeah, no. Yeah, it does get dark in Florida too. but
Eventually.
not as fast.
Well, you should bring, my son is in Finland. It's very dark
Oh.
there right now.
Does it ever get light there?
Yeah, right now they get a few hours of sunlight.
But he gets to see the Northern Lights. I would love to do that just once.
He saw the most fabulous northern lights. They sent us a picture on Facebook. Oh, and then he got to mush a dog sled.
Okay,
Wow.
I don't want to, that's not on my list. Mm-mm.
No?
No.
I
And the cold weather thing.
that's one of those
Wow.
things just to say I did it,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
I mushed a dog sled. I
that's
mean,
right.
I don't have to compete in the Iditarod or anything, just to, you know, a couple hundred yards just to see what it's like.
It was a Christmas present from his in-laws.
Peter, I
That
can
was-
send you some dogs and a wagon and
I can see your dog leading the sled now, Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, no good can come from that. Did he?
Yeah.
What did he say about it, Julie?
Magical,
Yeah.
magical.
Wow.
Loved it. And his wife was the passenger.
Oh yeah, I could see myself being a princess. That sounds better.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, hey, who knows? We could maybe train the coyotes and we could have coyote, you know,
Yeah.
split.
oh, now we're up to something.
Yeah, I think you might have actually hit that one on the head. So
It's-
where?
I gotta tell you, it is so funny to have people like I work with in different areas go, wait a minute, you live in that town that's gonna kill all those coyotes? And, you know, because it was in the Wall Street Journal, or no, the New York Times.
In the New York
Yeah.
Times, yeah.
And it's like, oh,
You know what that means? It was a slow news day.
yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Hmm,
All
I
right.
don't know.
Hey,
Well-
Tony.
Hi, Tony.
Hello.
Hi, Allison.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi,
Good.
So we have a quorum.
we do.
Great.
So we should call this meeting to order. So it is what, 6:35? And present from the Finance Committees, Bob Vanderslice, Julie Tarmy, Deborah Warren, Judy Zahora, Dana Sheehan. Did I say you, Peter?
You didn't.
Peter Barba. And we also have Allison and Tony. And I think that's it. So we are in order. And Tony, Peter may have solved the coyote problem for you.
Yeah, we're gonna turn them into sled dogs. We can have races across the, once the golf course freezes over again, like that lake it was last week, we can just do races across the ice.
Kelly Green's Iditarod.
Oh my God. You guys.
Well, we are an advisory committee, so
We didn't say we were giving good advice. We're just giving advice.
That's
Yes.
right.
that's it.
No
That is-
qualifiers.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it is bringing you some entertainment there, Peter. And you're finding
It is.
a financial benefit for the town. You know, bringing some events.
I try.
Yeah, no comment on that one. I'll
Wise.
I think it's a subject we should just move on from.
Yes.
Agreed.
exactly.
Agreed. I think it's wise.
Exactly, because who knows where that's gonna end up. All right, this is basically an organizational meeting,
Okay.
okay? So there's two items of business. One is what we've been kicking around for the last couple of meetings regarding either not distributing the book to everybody or not publishing a full book. And from last meeting, we said we were going to explore a warrant article, basically with the idea of just putting it in front of town meeting, because it's really not our call. It's really the townspeople's call. So I did ask Dan Script to first to research what it would take, and second, to author a suggested warrant article. And I will share my screen.
Okay.
I'm Share my screen. Does this thing at the top ever go away? Yes, it does. I can put it wherever I want, even better. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Okay,
Well, if you're showing the Finance and Advisory Committee, we can.
yeah, yep. Okay, so this is what Dan came back with. So what he's saying here, I think I'm going to turn off the camera as well. That'll cut down on some bandwidth. Okay, so what he's saying is it would require only a bylaw change. It's not in the charter, so it would be a bylaw change only, or a bylaw amendment, I guess. Only it would be a simple majority at the town meeting. And here's his wording. I'm gonna, right, so what he's doing here is he's striking out the section that says delivered by mail or otherwise, and replacing it with placed at 5 conspicuous places in town, including the fire department, the police department, town hall, and public library, not less than 7 days before the date of the meeting.
Should this
seems
also
pretty
say that it
clear.
would be on the website,
Yeah.
available on the website?
Good question. So this is what I asked him that as a PS here, just later this afternoon. And he hasn't gotten back to me, but good question, because I asked the same question.
Is the language the language that's italicized, is that what's currently in the bylaw and he's just suggesting the strike?
Yes, he's suggesting the strike
And the replacement.
and the replacement.
with the capitalized verbiage.
Yeah,
Hey, Bob,
where's
this is
the-
Dan. I
where's
have a
the-
question about the existing language. In your conversation with Dan's script, as I read it where it's striked out, delivered by mail or otherwise. I read that or otherwise as us sending out, say, a small mailing to everybody in every residence in town with a voter, and then references to these other places. I'm not even sure we need to change this. I mean, he's the attorney, so what did he say about that?
well, the existing article is pretty clear about it. So all we actually have to do is, this is what we have to produce: a copy of each article in the warrant and our recommendations appended thereon. That is it. That per the bylaw, that's all we have to produce.
But I think so to Dan's point, right? Is Dan's point, it says or otherwise, doesn't or otherwise already doesn't allow us to be, broad-mindedly think.
Yeah, the part that I think you guys have voiced, your issue with is the second part that he's striking. Not so much the first part, but the second one, which says to every household in which there resides a registered voter in the town. That's what kind of
Oh, I see what you're saying.
eliminates, that extra language there almost voids out the or otherwise from the first part, because
I
it's
see.
saying you gotta deliver it to the household. So
Yeah, this wording is active. It says we shall cause to be delivered. So that implies an active push by us.
Well, I'm not so sure that means that we have to send it. I mean, if it's delivered, it can be delivered on the website, I would think.
Well, Dan's the, I guess, legal expert. So I would almost defer to him as far as what he feels is necessary.
what do you guys want to do?
I mean, essentially, what we were trying to reduce the cost reduce the cost of creating the book. I
Right, but
mean,
what do you, what's,
Creating
so
and
what's the
delivery.
outcome? Like, what do you guys want to ultimately, what do you ultimately, you're gonna produce a book. You're still gonna produce a book the same way you always do. It's just, you want to change the requirement of having to send it to every house.
correct.
That's not what we wanted, though. We wanted to still notify every household, but not send them the whole book. So we're thinking the or otherwise might be a very small mailing, maybe even a postcard detailing where the warrant could be gotten, either the website or from these places around town. I mean, I don't think we need to put these, this language in here, conspicuous places in town. I don't want to make a big deal out of it. I feel like the language here
Well,
allows us to do
If
that.
you're, Dana, if you guys still want to send the warrant to every household with the recommendation, but not the whole book, not the back, all the appendices and the front page and everything
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah.
The current language allows for you to do that. All it's saying is articles, let me see, a copy,
A copy of each article in the warrant and
their
their
recommendation.
recommendations.
So you could send just the
Yes.
warrant with your recommendations. You could, create a separate document. And then the book that has some letter, statements of support, a cover letter, appendices, and everything else the current bylaw doesn't require you to send all that.
Yeah,
Well,
so
That's a good
so
point.
hang
Tom.
on, guys, just to
Sorry.
level set here. At the last meeting, we talked about this. We talked that there were discussed two alternatives. One, which is what Dana's supporting right now, that it's a skinny down book, and then there's a full book available in other formats. Or the alternative that this article is addressing is that we would not mail an entire book to every resident in town. We would just post it or make it available in various places. And the direction out of the last meeting was we wanted to pursue the second of those.
Correct. And here's
Okay.
my thought, that the reason that we take this as a warrant article to town meeting is we let the town decide. And our recommendation theoretically is that we don't send a book. We place books in 5 conspicuous locations, and we let the town decide if that's sufficient.
What's the fifth location?
What's that?
I'm not sure
What's-
why Dan wrote 5, because
There's only 4 there.
there's
Said
usually there's
including,
4.
But it's it gives us one bonus that we can,
like the
Right.
post
bonus,
office.
one other.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay,
The historical committee, historical society.
I don't think we can deliver any political information.
Oh,
It would go against our mission. As a nonprofit, we can't.
Yeah, that makes sense.
well, we can always add it to tithes. I don't know where.
I mean, the
where does-
post office is always a good alternative.
yeah, post office. I mean, you could even put, if you
Tides,
wanted to, you
Yeah.
could even, have one at, Captain Seaside. If people are sitting there eating lunch, they could read it or whatever. I mean, there's, I mean,
Yeah, and I like the idea of making a smaller book. Of course, I wasn't able to make the December 1st meeting, but I did have the opportunity to meet with Allison, and we talked about a few things, because I'm going to be putting together the warrant this year with Allison's support. But I like the idea of just printing articles and recommendations, and for this year, even just sending that piece out. All of the supporting information, like all of that CPC stuff and all the other appendices, can be made available either digitally, or we can have copies for people to pick up as requested. But it would take down the cost of the book. What was the cost, Allison? Somewhere around $18,000 to produce it?
Right.
$18,000 to produce it?
$18.95
And
a
to
book.
mail.
Mail.
And the mail, right?
Yeah.
So we talk about cost, we're still gonna have a mailing cost. It
Right.
might be less because it's way less, but let's say then it's, instead of 18, it's 10.
Right.
And we still have to print enough books, so with all the pieces parts. So it's not gonna save us as much, and the amount of work's gonna be the same. So it doesn't give you less work, Julie. So I'm not sure what we're winning, except the initial bulk cost of sending something, that book that's so expensive.
Yeah.
Or do we do both? So send the skinny down book and include this article, which is, you know, sort of an even more, I don't want to use the word drastic because it has the wrong connotation, but an even more something approach to this. So the skinny down book, we don't need town meeting, we don't need a bylaw change, so we can do that. And then put this article in there and see if people want to consider this, you know, this more, I'm still searching for the word.
Of not mailing it out, just having it available, and that'll save
Yeah.
on cost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It won't save on
Well-
work, but it will save on cost.
no, neither of these will save on work.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, you're still gonna have your big book to be available at town meeting and online. So you're still gonna do the work to produce the big book. It's just not gonna be mailed out.
right.
You know, I'm thinking off the top of my head, and what we could do is we could talk to the printer. Well, basically, we could take last year's book, trim it down to just the warrant and the recommendations,
Mhm.
and give that to the printer and say, how much would this have been to produce and send out? And then you'd have a comparison from what we actually spent last year to what it would have cost if you had done that.
I like that.
I think that makes sense.
And you might ask him, is there a different binding option?
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
depends on how many pages it ends up being.
Oh,
Yep.
I'm sure.
But you might, you might see that info and you might say,
There's no cost.
why
savings,
even
right?
do the article? When we could just do this, we'll save some money. We don't have to change the bylaw, and we can just move forward. You might choose not to do the article after that, or you might see that it's not really worth it. Either way.
Right.
We could get on that next week.
Okay,
Yeah, good
So-
idea.
Thanks, Tony. It'd be good to get an estimate like that. I kind of think the way it's gonna line up is there won't be much savings at all. And, the slimmed down version kind of makes sense to me. And also references within the slimmed down version to get these other documents.
Well, there's also less paper produced. I mean, environmentally speaking.
True. But it's all
Yeah, and
recycled.
you can the other thing too, is you could put, a lot of what we do now is like we do a QR code that brings you right to the page on the website where
Mhm.
the electronic document exists. So
Yep.
you could include that in what you mail out to every resident.
That's
Well,
awesome.
again, that's still more work, right?
Oh,
So,
it's
Not really.
No,
It's so easy, Judy. We
it's
could
so
do
easy.
it.
Yeah.
really?
So I got a question, and I haven't been in town hall in a while to try to try and see what the internet is like. But if I wanted to bring up my iPad for town meeting, is the internet solid enough in the town hall to be able to support a bunch of people using electronic devices?
Yeah, like 200 people using electronic.
Right,
devices.
right. I mean, but that's something that we need to consider. I mean,
Yeah.
if part of this is to slim down and save money, we might have to spend money. I mean, and I don't know, I'm not an IT expert, but do we need to put in a router? Or, do we need to put in better Wi-Fi in town hall so that we
I
can
think,
support?
I mean, obviously we haven't tested that out, but I still would want, if I go, like, when I go to the printer and say, tell me how much this is gonna cost with this trimmed down version, I'm still gonna ask them plus, if I wanted 300 full books printed for the town hall. So, I still think, it's completely up to you guys, but I still think I think you're gonna wanna send something to residents. And I think you're gonna wanna have some hard copy available the day of.
I mean, personally,
But I think the Wi-Fi is good enough to support, however many people you think would utilize the electronic option.
Didn't we upgrade the Wi-Fi just a couple years ago?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, let's first, I would say we should first find the cost, as you say, you can do this week. Of printing all those pages or not. And take it
Yeah,
from
I'll
there when we
send
have
you,
the data.
we'll get the info and we'll send you guys an email with it.
Great.
Okay.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I guess we are moving on. So the next.
Can I just say one little quickie? I'm sorry to be late. I did informally talk with a couple of people in town, and in fact, who had been on FinCom, both of them. And they both strongly encouraged us to do the skinny version. They said that they thought that was the right thing to do and we should go ahead and do it and make, as we've said, make everything else, make copies available at town hall and also be able to do it online. But these are former FinCom members, and they said that they totally agreed that that was a good idea.
Good. Excellent. Thank you.
good.
Thank you, Barbara.
Okay. All right. So this is, you can still see this?
Yep.
Bluish, blue and white thing.
We're still looking at the email from Dan.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'm going to stop and I'm going to try it again. Share screen. Try that. Oh. Zoom makes you push so many buttons. You got it
There we
now?
go, yes.
Okay. So this,
Oh, look at this.
this is what we did. This is actually, I think the one I copied was 2 years ago. Yeah, 2021. But this is kind of how we did our planning, and it seemed to work. So I'm proposing we do this again. So the way we would do this is, well, actually, let me start here. So obviously there's a calendar over here, right? First of the month is always blue. I don't know what green means. Oh. I'm not sure what green means.
Holidays? No?
Maybe holidays. There's an awful lot of greens. At any rate, it doesn't matter. But point is, there's a calendar over there. Events and deadlines are just notes to ourselves, so we know where key events are. So we should fill this column in first. The conflicts column is if any of the members have conflicts, like, I don't know, we're going to go skiing during the February vacation or something like that. We can note that in here. And then FinCom agenda, these are the topics that we would cover during that week or during the meetings of that week. And then there's one more column over here to the 2 more columns. This is who is responsible for that, right? And then here's, can you see that? For me, it's underneath the list of everybody's picture, but that's the person, the town person that would be responsible. So I think if we just march through this, we can get this done in pretty short order, right?
And
So,
Can I
I-
just make one suggestion as we go through this, to keep in mind that all of our votes should be done as soon as possible, as soon as as we've resolved an article and we
I agree.
understand it and we've accepted it, get that vote in so that we're not voting on stuff the night before the book goes to the printer.
I agree with
I
that.
agree.
That's a great plan.
I remember.
I strongly support that idea. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Allison. We both talked about this.
Yes, ditto.
Do you want to put the conflicts, February 21st to the 25th school vacation week? And then in April 17th, same thing, school vacation week. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so Tony, Allison, warrant closes January 31st, right?
All citizen petitions are due by January 31st, and any committee requests are due by January 31st. So the warrant will close, but then, the Board of Selectmen will open and close it
Yeah.
as we make additions, and then, of course, CPC ends up coming in later too.
Well, I'm gonna work with them because I am the liaison on that committee to see if we can't move that along.
Good, thank you.
Bob, these are our assignments from 2 years ago, because,
Yes, yes, they
right?
are. Yes, they
yeah,
are.
because I know that last year Dan and I did police and fire and Deborah and I did school. So
Yeah,
these
we,
are,
Right.
we need to update those. You're absolutely right.
right.
That's part of tonight's exercise is to update.
Okay.
Okay. Tony, when is the final budget anticipated?
I'm looking up my schedule right now.
Do you think there's anything we could do about getting CPC, getting those or earlier?
Want to be I've been going to all of their meetings, so I'm going to encourage them to get through them as quickly as possible.
The other thing
Should
is,
we get a deadline on that, put on our calendar?
Pardon me?
Do you think we can estimate a deadline for the CPC articles?
Well, maybe we could try scheduling them earlier than later as coming to our meeting.
and the other thing
Sounds good.
is, do they like, kind of like what we were talking about as far as not waiting till last minute on votes? Do they do that where they might vote on a handful of things up front, and they could maybe present those handful of things to us so that we can at least hear them, vote on them, whatever. That way maybe if there's 10 different CPC articles and we have 5 or 6 of them out of the way, we have a lot less to do at the end.
Yeah,
That's interesting, yeah.
Julie, what's their deadline? They have a fairly late deadline, don't they? Or is it already over?
for the applications to come in, it's January 27th.
Oh, so that's good. All right.
Yeah, it's always the end of January for them to
Okay.
get the applications in.
So while Tony's looking, town meeting is when?
It is going to be Saturday, May 20th.
Okay.
I did
so-
I found my schedule if you want me to
Yeah, please.
share. Do you want me to try share my screen?
Well, when is the final budget anticipated?
Okay, so
February
February
15th.
15th. Yep. February 15th.
which is a Wednesday.
Mhm.
Okay.
When is the town election? Is that, do you have a date for that?
That's gonna be April. What's that, the second Saturday in April, or what's it, or the last Saturday in April? Hold on, I can tell you. April 29th.
Saturday.
And then I have here that Finance Committee report goes to the printer April 14th, Friday, April 14th.
Okay, so let's just kind of, so if it's two, yep. April 14th, you've got it. Oh, to the printer, Friday, April 14th. That's, yeah.
I get it 4 weeks prior. Now
Yeah.
that might, if we do a trimmed down version, that might shrink a little bit.
Mhm. Yep.
Oh, no,
Okay.
remember, so what goes out is trim, trim, yes, trim, help me, streamlined, but we still need to do a full book anyway.
Yeah, but because it needs to get to people's doorsteps 2 weeks prior, whereas the full book, we're just gonna have for the day of, so.
So the
Uh,
full
but
book
I,
is longer to print.
yeah, I think it all has to go at one time, Tony, because then otherwise it's the never ending pain instead of, one large pain.
I hear you. Well, right now I'm giving you guys 4 weeks prior to town meeting.
Right.
Friday, April 14th, which I think is really tight because that gives them 2 weeks to print,
Yep.
or gives them a week really to kind of like get it all printed and to the mail, to the post office so that it reaches people's doorstep 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
So
So this is actually wrong. If town
I'm
meeting,
sorry.
Really, it's 1 week.
I'm
from-
sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
Your book needs to be delivered 7 days prior to the meeting.
okay, so this
That's
is
May
right.
13th.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
well,
The
okay.
warrant, which we post in 4 public places, that doesn't have your recommendations on it, it's just the warrant,
Mhm.
that has to be posted 2 weeks prior, May 6th.
Yep, okay, so this is right. No, it's Saturday, May 6th?
Would be 14 days prior, yep.
Okay, so this actually happens on Saturday. All right, so I think this is right. Right, so the FinCom book is to the printer Friday, April 14th. That gives them 2 weeks to print. They get it to the post office on April the 28th. That gives the post office 2 weeks to deliver. And meanwhile, in that intervening week, the warrant is publicly posted. Then town meeting is the 20th. And we don't have a rain date anymore, do we?
We'll be inside the town hall, so no.
No, yeah, okay. All right,
Tony, did we buy those clickers?
No, we rent because we've had such a varying amount of attendance over the past few years. So it's better to kind of just rent them based on how many people you think is going to attend.
No, I agree. I just wondered, I remember we talked about it at one point. I didn't remember what happened. Because it's pricey to rent them, but it sure beats the heck out of those little bits of paper.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're wonderful.
Yes.
okay. So now we've got our kind of our whatever milestones here stubbed in. You know what our conflicts are. This is the way, I'm looking at this column O right now. This is the way we laid it out. And the question is, does this make sense? Well, we don't need a Coast Guard housing article session. I hope.
Nope.
Well, we should be on the path with that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of that, I hear there's a lawsuit by the residents against the town.
Why?
Well, not a lawsuit. It's just as we're going through an eviction process, which is a legal proceeding. So, you know, obviously they have their right as tenants to appeal our eviction notice, right? So it's just a legal proceeding.
Oh, they're
Tony, are
contending
we-
the.
Tony,
yeah,
I forgot.
the
Allison, you told us last time, are we getting any rent from them now or not?
We are not.
That's what I thought. And I have
They
heard,
stopped paying.
We, so two-part answer. One, you know, when you're going through an eviction process, if you are still collecting rent while you're doing that, it doesn't help you in the legal process of getting the folks evicted. Two, we wanted to give them help because a lot of the residents there, you know, were finding it difficult to come up with the funds for a new place, you know, first month, last month, security and all of those costs. So we chose to not charge them rent starting September 1st. We're currently going through the litigation process. That may change depending on how things proceed.
So here's the thing, and I appreciate the town being so kind, because we're under no obligation to do that. I mean, none. And so we have given them the support. If they haven't paid rent since September, then we're keeping those houses where there's no revenue coming in from them. And so, you know, that means that every resident is paying for those people to live there.
And if they haven't paid since September and their average rents are, well, the rents were $13.50 a month for, you know, they've saved $6,750 at the end of January. And I mean, that's pretty good for a first and last month's deposit on any place. Just,
Well, I mean, it's not actually, because everything here is so expensive. So I understand that, but it does mean that the residents of Nahant have effectively given them $6,700 each family that's still there.
Yeah, and how long can this continue?
I've heard that landlord-tenant law can be quite protracted. That eviction, Tony, you've probably talked with our town lawyer about it, but eviction processes can be extremely protracted, which
Especially
means,
since COVID.
that's right. So this could go on for quite some time. That's
Are we,
just
we talking months? Are we talking years?
months, maybe a year. I mean, it could be quite some time.
Well, let me tell you the good news.
Okay.
There's only 5 properties that still have tenants in it. And one of those 5 is supposed to be out in the next week or so. So we'll be down to 4. And we're moving forward with the process of procuring hazmat removal and demolition of the ones that are
Oh, good.
vacant. And because the town meeting article requires us to sell them off segmented, right, to avoid people from being able to combine them, we can move forward and actually start selling property, you know, even if the last 5 or 4 households take some time to cross the finish line. So I can tell you that, you know, that's the good news. And when it comes to the folks that are still there, I mean, the town all the decisions that we're making in this legal proceeding is with the effort to, proceed as fast as possible.
I know, but I thought that the economies of scale was us to destroy them all at one time.
Well, yeah, there's the economies of scale. There's the
Yeah.
fact that the real estate market is starting to,
Soften.
drop off. I mean, the longer we wait, the longer the town, and I know it's not about, all about money, but we still have a, $1.8 million loan that we have to pay. And, additional funds certainly is not going to hurt the town.
All right, well, thank you for the update on that.
Yeah, and Tony, from what I heard, and you, I'm sure, are discussing this with our lawyer, this is the landlord tenant law. That's not something we have a lot, that just has to play out. I mean, we're doing what we can, but it can be a process and it has to play out.
Massachusetts is a very tenant-friendly state when it comes to
Exactly, that's what I've heard, exactly.
And basically, there is many legal proceedings that tenants can utilize to draw out the process.
Correct, that's what I've been told.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for
Tony,
the
just
update.
Tony, can I throw in a gee whiz question to wrap it up? Could the town ask them to start paying their rent and just hold their rent in escrow so that when the cases are resolved, the town can use that money to help them move?
That maybe, that could be an option. It's on the table. I don't want to say that we're definitely leaning that way or not. It's on the table as a potential mediation option.
I mean, I guess we shouldn't be speaking, if the town's in litigation, we shouldn't be speaking about it any further, but thank you for the update.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyway, we should need that committee.
Good point, Judy.
Right.
Right.
We don't need that committee anymore. All right.
Yeah.
So these were the topics. I don't see any real reason to, change that. That seems to work well. But I've got a couple of questions here. The way this lays out is we would start with this budget and warrant review with the selectmen actually a week before the final budget is due or scheduled to be produced. So question one would be, is that going to be an issue, Tony? Or, will it be solid enough that we could look it over with the selectmen a week prior to its final deadline? That's question one. Question two is, this school vacation week, how big a rock is that? Can we schedule during that week?
I think Dana was bringing it up as a potential conflict for you guys as committee members.
Right.
And
That's
being able to get a quorum.
Yeah. So that the two questions, two different addressees. So Tony, the first question was, will it be solid enough that we could look it over and talk it over a week prior to its final?
I would say probably not.
So then we have to compress this whole thing by a week somehow.
Or we, if we have it solid, my whole point is I need the selectmen, it's their budget, not mine, right? So
Understood.
they have to approve it before I deliver it to you. So it's possible that we'll get it ready sooner. But the 15th is the date that we're targeting right now.
But in the meantime, though, and let me, we have the meetings with the, police and fire and because I assume police, fire, DPW would already have given you their quote kind of requests or whatever. You've already sat down with them. So Bob, is it possible to start doing meetings with police, fire and DPW
Yeah,
prior to having that, that final budget?
Right, that you took the words right out of my mouth. So,
But you can't really, right? Because if they have to, the selectmen have to see it first.
Yeah, but
Because whether or not they agree to it, I mean, why we shouldn't, why would we look at something that they're not gonna agree to?
yeah, are there any of these budget chunks that are more solid than others or less controversial than others? That we could meet with them in advance. And I would include this, the school has been pretty good about getting in early. I don't know where they are though.
But the school came late. No?
No, they tend to be fairly early. Bob,
Yeah.
you're right.
I know he's presenting his latest version to the school next week.
Yeah.
And then we're meeting with him next week sometime to go over those numbers. So they're already, I think, on their, second or third version of their budget. So yeah,
Maybe-
school-
Maybe a
School
different
is
question then,
over.
Tony, is you expecting anything controversial?
in the budget, no. As far as warrant articles go, I think short-term rental could be a controversial topic that you could start diving into sooner. We're gonna have the language from, we're supposed to have the language from them by the end of January.
When you
And,
say them, what do you mean by them?
sorry, the short-term rental committee.
Oh,
And
oh,
then,
right.
and likely the short-term rental committee, likely the article that they're gonna suggest, the bylaw they suggest is gonna have a zoning element, which will require the planning board to have a public hearing and produce a recommendation.
So we wouldn't be able to meet with them until it hits planning board.
No, I think you could start diving into it as it's going through the planning board process, but I don't think you're gonna have a final version of their proposal until the end of January.
Yeah. I hate to see them rush through that too. That's an important one. And there's a lot of dollars at stake on that one as well.
So what if we did this? Do short-term rental right the first week of February. Second week of February, the school, assuming they're ready. And then that pushes the full omnibus budget out to the second week of February, which is when it's scheduled to be done.
Right. And if they meet on Wednesday, we could meet on Thursday and theoretically have the.
Yep. Tony, you're looking at this very skeptically.
I'm just stressing out. That's me stressing out look.
Okay.
Every
I
time we
guess
look at it
I'm not-
every time we look at how close those weeks we just used the entire winter, it always frightens us.
Well, yeah.
I'll try and do a better job of concealing my stressed out face.
I also think you have a week for COVID response in culture and recreation. I'm not sure you need a full meeting for.
For COVID, for this.
For
Yeah, we
that
shouldn't
anymore.
need COVID response. Culture and recreation, doesn't that generally fall under, well, wouldn't that generally go hand in hand with CPC? I mean, that might be the week we can pick up.
Yeah. So put these together, put culture and rec.
Except CPC is so long.
Yeah,
But if I can get them to give us whatever's the information when it's completed. As opposed to looking at them all at the same time, that would be good.
and the other thing too is if we're doing a slimmed down version, we don't have a cover letter, do we?
I don't know. We've never done a slimmed down version. I don't know. I would think I assumed we did.
Right,
Okay.
I would still have a cover letter. Because you'd have to explain the trim down.
Yeah,
Right.
good point. At very least, we have to explain what's going on here and have the QR code somewhere. So that gives us an open week. So this school vacation week, members of the committee, is that like a blackout week for anyone?
No.
Well,
Not for me.
Do we have a quorum? Are we missing? We're missing a couple members now again, aren't we?
We're missing Dan McMacken right now, and I think that's it.
DeWitt.
DeWitt's
Oh.
off the committee.
It's gone.
Yeah, he stepped off.
Okay. So we
Did
need
we-
we need that position filled.
But we do have that week. That's good news for us.
Actually, I'm the only one, I guess, that has that problem with the school vacation weeks, so.
Well, yeah, I mean,
All
we
right.
just have to be careful of what we assign you to. Because if we're meeting that school vacation week and you can't, you know, we certainly don't want to go over like police and fire if you're the liaison for police and fire. I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah, that
You
makes
did-
sense. Also, I can most likely dial into these if we're gonna be still on Zoom. But I think in March, the Zoom requirement might go away. I don't know if it's gonna get extended or not, but we
That's
have to,
true.
might have to meet in person after March.
Wait,
Yeah,
what do you mean the
true.
Zoom?
It's up to the legislature. If they don't extend it, then we go back to the old open meeting law rules and have to meet in person.
Okay, if that's the case, then I'll need to step off the committee. I mean,
I
it's
heard-
just true, right? Because I'll lose.
I heard it's March 3rd, right?
Yeah,
You'll have
Is
to
it
fly
March
home.
3rd that it expires?
I'm here until April.
Is there did you say that there's a date by which they will make that decision?
The.
I heard March 3rd. Dan.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Dana.
Okay.
No, I think under the old rules, Judy, you can't jump off that fast, because under the old rules, I think you can still, you as a committee member, not the chairperson, but a committee member can participate remotely, but the meeting has to be hosted in person.
Oh, that's
Correct.
interesting. That's an interesting nuance.
I actually did that a couple of times on the zoning board of appeals when prior to COVID, because I do travel a lot. And I was able to dial in there's certain limitations, like if there's exhibits and things like that, it can be problematic, but I mean,
yeah, I wanted on this committee prior to COVID. We needed a quorum. I couldn't get to the meeting, but I dialed in. I called in.
All
actually,
right, so you're saying that I can't be off that fast.
All right,
It's worth a shot, guys.
I'm trying to remember, because I was doing this when I was traveling, but that was a couple of years ago.
right, you weren't the chair, and
I was-
and actually, we may want to get, before we get to that point of March, we may want to check with maybe Dan Script on that, just for clarification, because if I'm not mistaken,
I don't
think
think you
what-
count to a quorum, do you?
no, that's what I was just thinking is, I know that Julie just said that, but I think, I think that you can't count towards the quorum. There has to be a quorum in the room.
Dan was at that meeting that I called into.
Oh, okay. Then I could be wrong. Most likely I am.
Well, he's not, yeah, I'm assuming he's the one that approved it.
Yeah, there's just one, there's a little technicality when it comes to the chairperson,
Right.
but anyways, I feel like the legislature is gonna end up extending it again anyways, but we'll see.
Well, we'll see.
Move on to the,
All right.
while you're going through this, I did want to say, last night we had a Board of Selectmen meeting. We talked a little bit about warrant articles. So you guys, if you listened in or if you didn't, just to let you know what we talked about. We talked about short-term rental that we plan on, we expect to have something from them by the end of the month. We talked about a potential article regarding not feeding the wildlife because of the coyote issue. We talked about a article on conservation restrictions on some of our open space properties that the town currently owns to, protect them from development in perpetuity. And the properties that we are talking about are either all or parts of Lodge Park, the golf course, Bailey's Hill, lowlands, compost area, and the Heritage Trail. I think that's it.
That's interesting, Tony, because I didn't realize those were in jeopardy.
Well, they're not, I mean, they could be, they're not zoned for it now. But a future town meeting could change that zoning. A conservation restriction or an Article 97 protection would be much, much harder to change. You would need a vote of the legislature. It's a very solid form of protection of those spaces.
Okay.
Tony, one question about lowlands. Can we
That's
expect
good.
any more articles on lowlands?
Oh,
Tony?
no, nope. We had a good neighborhood meeting. We completed our study. We're now working on taking some of those recommendations, and we already have the funding from last town meeting to work on them. So we don't anticipate any sort of article for additional funding at this year's town meeting.
Ooh,
Thank you. And one more. What about number 9, Little Nahant Road?
Again,
Can
I
we
don't think
expect any?
no. So the property was up for auction. It didn't sell at auction. So now HUD officially has accepted the ownership of the property. They have the right to sell it directly to anybody. We will, if they choose to sell, we have a agreement with them that, I don't know if you remember, the property had sold at auction previously. That sale fell through. But when that sale occurred, we negotiated an amount of the sale that was going to come to the town for the deferred taxes. But then that sale fell through. So our current agreement with HUD is that percentage of the total sale amount that was going to come to the town, that or more, would hold in place for any future sale. So we wouldn't be pursuing any sort of town meeting article regarding that property.
I don't suppose HUD would
Okay, so it
donate
sounds
that to
like
open
that-
space, would they?
Sorry,
I
go
don't-
ahead, Judy.
It's hard to say what HUD would do, but I'm guessing housing and urban development, their goal is to produce housing. So I don't think open space would be, something like their desire. And they want their, I guess, are you asking?
Can the town buy it for open space? I guess is what I'm asking.
Yes, the town could do that.
I'm wondering if, we got this, what do you call it? The committee that's studying housing now, the Housing Study Committee. I mean, if they came back and said, we needed whatever, veterans housing or whatever, if the town approached HUD about developing it for that use, because the town needs it, just let HUD let HUD do the developing, and, you know, hopefully it helps with what the town needs.
Well, the Housing Production Plan Committee is not going to be done with their housing production plan until like June or July.
Right.
So still, I don't anticipate anything regarding 9 Low Nahant Road for this town meeting. But yes, you know, Judy, you're right. If the town wanted to, we could pursue you know, that's what we were looking at in the past. We could approach HUD to try to buy it.
If we
But
bought
right
it,
now-
it would be at a fair market price, question mark.
If we were going down this road, I would approach HUD and say, you know, that last sale was for $1.1 million, and we negotiated 350,000 of that was going to come to the town. So my starting offer to HUD, the highest I would pay HUD would be 1.1 minus 350, because that's how much they were going to make off the last sale anyways.
Yep.
So I do think we could get it for less. You know, I would approach HUD to get it for less than 1.1, but you're still a pretty significant cost.
It is,
Yeah,
but
that's
you know,
just the
we,
down
we,
payment too. You know,
Well,
think about it as in terms of that is just a down payment, and then you're gonna have to renovate or whatever you're gonna do with it. It's
knock
gonna
it
be
over,
more-
it's
build a
open
park
more
space.
than just.
I get that, but we were going to put money into open space, you know, for Northeastern. Why wouldn't we do that in Little Nahant?
I hear you. That's why we were, you know, we kind of put ourselves out there for that about a year ago, you know, before the last town meeting. And, you know, the neighborhood really didn't want us to get involved. Didn't, you know, we also at the time, it wasn't like we didn't have a confirmed future use planned out at the time. And we didn't have a price at that point. So, you know, those two things, I
I don't
guess,
know about the neighborhood, Tony. I'm in that neighborhood. I didn't know you were doing anything.
yeah, do you remember last year we were talking about it as a potential CPC article?
It was probably article number 752, and I dozed.
Well,
I don't remember that at all, actually.
Yeah,
no, it was, I remember it. It was literally to buy the property and like renovate it and historical and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I don't know. Again, I would think having that piece of property for use for our housing needs would be something worthwhile. I mean, and you know, of course, having that piece of property, if we bundled that piece of property with the Coast Guard housing property, and we made them low income or what do you call it? Not low income, but
affordable.
income. We would have gotten our 40B by square footage. We'd never have to worry about 40B again. A little late though.
If you dedicated all of those, you know, both of those properties entirely to affordable housing, then you'd probably be pretty close on the general land area requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably would. But as you know, Pete, you know, what's passable at town meeting is the first hurdle, right?
Exactly.
So I don't think it's gonna happen for this upcoming town meeting, but yeah, if we really wanted to pursue something regarding that property, I think you'd have to have some pretty good groundwork with the community on, you know, what the future use would look like and how much is it gonna cost the town? And then you go to town meeting for the vote. I think why we didn't end up going to town meeting or applying for a CPC article last year was because we didn't have those two answers, and that caused a lot of concern. And, you know, we didn't think we'd be able to get anything past a town meeting. So it's still possible, but I don't think for this coming town meeting.
Tony, may I ask a question?
Mhm.
I actually had asked this by email a while back. Did we submit a 40B housing plan to the state?
That's what the housing production plan that subcommittee is working on.
So we
It-
have not yet submitted it, correct?
No, it's scheduled for June or July.
Because I had read an article in the Globe saying that,
That's 3A.
oh, that was
So
a different,
that's the MBTA communities multifamily zoning
right.
requirement. There's an action plan due at the end of the month. Actually, the housing production plan committee is meeting right now. And they're discussing that tonight.
So
Was
there are
the-
two different plans we need to submit.
Yep.
Could you, it'd be helpful if you could clarify that a bit, so I don't,
We have two different housing requirements.
right,
One, every town has the 40B affordable housing requirement, which is 10% of your housing units need to be dedicated to affordable housing, or 1.5% of your developable land has to be dedicated to affordable housing. That's 40B. Then new last year, all MBTA communities have to have some multifamily zoning in their town. And we, now we have, there's different categories of MBTA communities. We're in the lowest one because we're just an adjacent small town. So our requirement is much lower than what many of the other MBTA communities. So both of those items are the mission of the Housing Production Plan Subcommittee. Now, the penalty for not meeting your 40B requirements is a developer basically could come into town and surpass zoning and build almost whatever they want, as long as it's somewhat affordable or considered affordable housing. The punishment for not meeting the 3A MBTA community requirement is you're not eligible for certain types of funding and grants that the state provides. So, one of them is a little bit more pressing than the other, the 40B, I think. Our hope is that we could potentially, hit both targets in the same effort. We could create a multifamily zone in town that is also affordable and work towards meeting both requirements with that one action.
Where would we put that?
That remains to be seen.
but Tony, that was very helpful. Thank you for that summary.
You're welcome.
Makes good sense, and I can see why optimally it would be useful to have a plan that satisfied both of those requirements. So what the deadline for,
The other piece of it too is we're trying to figure out if accessory dwellings would count towards the 3A
What's that?
that's
multifamily.
having a smaller house. I know, isn't it Elizabeth Warren who's in favor, who's pushing that? It's
It's-
having a smaller house, or Kim Driscoll. It's having a smaller house on your property, right?
It's,
like a-
yeah, or it could be an in-law apartment.
Exactly, right.
So,
Because
so what it could
Oh.
look like, something that it could look like would be, like the town of Nahant is all single family zone. But you could allow someone to have a legitimate multifamily if they meet the requirements of an accessory dwelling that is also affordable. So that way you're not finding new space to develop. You're actually working within already, residential properties. And a lot of the times, there's a lot of folks who, are looking for that family member in-law apartment option in Nahant. that it could be helpful. So those are the different things that,
Or it could
Exactly.
become additional short-term rental, right?
well, short-term rental wouldn't meet the, if you said it had to be affordable, you couldn't do short-term rental there.
And
Not initial.
what are the deadlines again? Soon, right?
Well, the deadline you saw in the paper was just an action plan under the MBTA 3A stuff, the multi-family zone. So basically, it's like a plan that you submit to the state that shows them that you're really working on eventually getting to town meeting to propose some sort of new zoning amendment.
And Judy, I'm sorry I interrupted you because you had a really important question there. Do you want to follow up on it?
Yeah, thanks, Barb. I mean, and thank you. So I understand that it wouldn't fit the bill, and so it'd be a little house in someone's property. For initial additional family members or lower affordable housing. But when those people leave or move on, I could see that becoming a rental property, a short-term rental. I mean, who's policing it?
So affordable, in order for you to be considered affordable, it's a deed restriction. Your property is dedicated. You can't just change it 5 years down the road. It's dedicated to affordable living in perpetuity.
Again, who polices it?
Well, I would say Mass DHCD.
Okay. All
The
right, I
state.
wondered about that. It's just interesting to me. Tony, I thought was that the committee I was supposed to support from the finance committee, the planned housing reduction plan committee? Wasn't there was something they needed to find a liaison, and I thought I was volunteered for that.
I think you were.
What?
And it's not, they aren't going to have anything ready for this town meeting. So, when they're meeting on the same night as FinCom, I think, you got to be here, but it's worth staying involved and following it along, because it is a very detailed process. There's a lot to it. And I think it would be helpful that, that you guys aren't kind of just learning from scratch when the time comes that something is put in front of you, for a town meeting.
Right, I agree. That's why very helpful to hear the outline of it from you. Thank you. And
Okay.
it would be helpful if you keep us apprised.
Yeah, I will.
Because you're right, we don't want to be starting from scratch. It'd be great. We need to know as things develop, please.
So tonight's meeting is being recorded, so you guys could watch it after tonight if you wanted to. That's what I'm gonna end up doing, is because I'm not there.
Is it on the calendar?
Yeah, it is. All right.
Let's
Can we-
move.
Let's go on through this and get this done. All right, so I would propose that we discussed having a meeting on the 19th of January. I think let's keep it. For now, the topics are, we'll make a decision about what we want to do about the FinCom book delivery, and there'll be any updates for things that have transpired between now and then. So that's an everybody meeting. There's no real department representative. I guess we can put Tony over here. Short-term rental article, if we did that the first week of February, we're looking for volunteers, I guess, for who wants to honcho that one.
For which one?
Short-term rental.
I can throw my name in.
We'd
Okay,
be happy to join also.
okay. And Tony, am I right? It would be Wayne Wilson and Rob Steinberg. Those are the two contacts?
Uh, I
Yes.
thought it was, I thought Thibault, Rob Thibault.
Wayne's the chairperson.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Okay, so if we can ask them if they want to join us on, it would be what, Thursday, February the 2nd. Then we get a week off, and then budget and warrant review with the selectmen would be Thursday, February 16th. And that's an all hands finance committee meeting. School, Barbara, it's you and
Deborah and I did it last year.
you want to continue?
Sure, Deborah, do you?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and can you check with Tony and just be sure that that's an acceptable date for them? Will he be ready?
So that would be on which date?
February, this is making me nervous. Thursday, February the 23rd.
Okay. Yep, we'll check.
Okay, thank you. Again, volunteers, police and fire.
Dan and I did that last year.
Do you
Maybe
want us-
Dan's not here, but I'll told him. No, it just makes sense for him to stay, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's into it.
I think he is too.
Yeah, he was wonderfully knowledgeable
And-
about the technology, all of it. He was just right on.
Yeah, and I'm tempted to put him on DPW for the same reason.
I would think that would be a good idea.
I do too.
Yeah, I feel that way
So
too.
from police and fire, what do you hear? Are you expecting any large expenses? Tony, any large asks?
Bob, you can put Dana down there too for DPW.
I haven't met with
Sure.
everybody yet.
Okay.
Okay. So Dan and Dana, town government.
Was I there before?
I don't, I can go back and look at 2 years ago. It was you
But
and
you
I.
had something like this for last year too.
I couldn't find last year's. This is 2 years ago's version.
Oh, with Bob and
Oh,
Ju-
okay,
Oh,
well, I'm
yeah.
good for it.
There you go.
So
Got it.
Julie and
Oh, so
Julie
how
and
about you,
Judy.
Bob?
Julie
You
and
know,
Bob?
how about you and me? Bob?
Bob and you, yeah.
We can't have Julie and Judy together because it's just too hard to say.
Too hard to say.
Community preservation is,
That's me.
yep, what, only you? That's
Uh,
You can put Dana there too.
There you go.
okay.
I've got experience in that.
And that was the library, yeah,
Yeah, and Council on Aging, I think.
Council on Aging.
And then,
So-
other small ones like,
Sailing program and stuff like that.
yeah.
Okay. Articles, I think we should. Is there-
Articles.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Well, why don't we pick articles once we get them?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Once we know what they are, we can
Well, that's
assign
what-
them.
And why don't we have, we should anticipate that that'll be our final voting.
Yeah,
I think Peter should have to do the feeding of the wildlife article after his no. After
Sure,
his
go ahead and
coyote
cut.
comment earlier.
Actually, you know what? And not for nothing, but I did co-author an article, bylaw, once before, and I was also on zoning. I know that I don't think that'll have anything to do with zoning, but at least I kind of understand the writing of that. So yeah, I can do that.
Tony, I know I joined late I think I'm okay. Yeah, I joined late, but did everybody congratulate you on us being Coyote Town internationally? I mean, we were full page.
Oh,
New
yeah,
York
there was a
Times.
conversation about
We
that.
talked about it and we decided not to talk about it
Oh,
anymore.
I was just saying, everybody
Yeah.
I know got back in touch. Fine, nothing more said. And I just applauded Tony. I just wanted to give you more. Thank you.
Yes, I second that.
Yeah, I would prefer to be known for something else, but
I figured.
We
Careful,
appreciate you.
Yes, that was all I really wanted to say was thank you, Coyote Man.
so Bob,
dogs love me. Dogs love me.
so Bob, for the articles, we should all be there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Bob, this is
Oh,
Dana.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted a point of fact, I guess. I don't know if it's a fact yet, but the school budget on the same week as the February vacation, I'm not sure what the superintendent and school committee have planned for that week, but
A good point.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a good week, probably, maybe. I don't know. Deborah, we'll ask him. We can email him right away.
Okay, sure.
What other choice could we give him?
Really, we could flip any of these around, I would think, or
We
maybe
could
we could
flip
just,
him with police and fire, probably, right?
Except the,
Yeah.
we could, I'm not gonna, yeah, that week we could, yes. I'm not here the week of March 6th.
oh, so you are not?
I'm not, sorry, here the week of March 6th.
maybe you could flip police and fire with the school.
Yeah, that might be better.
So March the 6th. Okay, so we're saying flip, what do we want to flip? DPW?
No, police and fire. with
Police and
school.
fire.
There's no like flip function here.
Damn it.
Wow, a new feature for Excel. We can ask, I'll ask my friend,
To create a new flip function.
yeah.
They probably have it. There's some key code for that.
There's
It
always
probably is.
something.
The police and fire now would be on the
20.
23rd,
Yep, yes.
and the school would be on the 1st,
The 2nd.
the 2nd.
March 2nd.
School. So we'll ask Deborah, we'll ask Tony about March 2nd for the school, and police and fire 23rd. Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, and then just as far as scheduling, we stick to the Thursday at 6:30 day and time. If we find we need a second meeting in any of these weeks, we're going to be assumptive about that one.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Any word on the final member of our committee? We're at 8 right now. Just wondering if a 9th one has been proposed yet.
I have not heard.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know. Tony, have you heard anything?
No, I haven't. I could call the
I-
moderator tomorrow and see if he's making progress.
I can call him too.
Okay.
We'll both call him. All right, cool. So that is that. I think we're done here.
Yay.
Yay.
Well
Motion
done.
adjourned?
Well, we should ask the public forum. I don't see any members of the public here, so
Kathy Martin was there.
And then we board her.
Well,
And
there.
Julie, because I was late, did we approve the minutes?
Oh,
No,
we did
I
not.
I don't have your minutes.
I know I sent them to everybody else because you weren't there, but I should have sent them to you, but I did send them to everybody else.
Okay, so I
Did
couldn't.
you, nobody got back to me with any changes.
was very clear, very good.
They should
Yep.
be happy with changes. The changes should happen at the meeting.
Motion to,
Okay,
approve
but
the-
there was one, wait, there was one problem. We didn't approve minutes at that meeting. Were there minutes we were supposed to have approved?
There were, but I can't find them at the moment. My computer on which I typed them decided to take a vacation, so I'm trying to find the hard copy that I printed, but I will.
Ah,
So does that mean that it's not, it was okay that we didn't approve minutes at that meeting? Because I didn't have us down in the notes that we did.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, good. So I'll just take that out.
Right, we'll do them at the next one. And if you could send me those meetings, the minutes, I'll put them on the letterhead.
Absolutely. So did we just, those were good, right? Thank you. Will do.
Thanks.
And thank you.
Okay,
okay, motion to adjourn then?
I'll second that.
all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Sounds unanimous to me. We are adjourned.
All right, thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Take
night.
care.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Good
Yes,
night.
happy New Year.
Aye.
We're really supposed to do a roll call, but is everybody
vote?
Aye.
Zahora, aye.
Vanderslice, aye.
She and I.
Beatty, aye.
Warren, I.
charming eye? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye now.
Bye.
Um,
Bob, are you still there?
I am still here. I'm trying to figure out how to close Zoom.
Oh, I was hoping that you would send this, or where would we?
Yeah,
be able to-
no, I'm gonna send this out. I'm gonna clean it up and send it out.
Excellent. Okay, see you later.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.